Hello, everyone. This is KWBE Kicking with Brother Ed. I'm Ed Stee, your host for this program. Man, we got a very special guest today. We're so happy to be back with you guys live and in living color. You know, we've had our challenges. We still have challenges, but we're going to overcome them all. There are going to be a lot of new things happening here on KWBE, and today is no exception, man. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be back with you. You are in the right place. If you're wondering, you're at KWBE Kicking It with Brother Ed, and we're going to go in today. We have a very special guest. But before we bring her in, a couple of things I want you to know. We're still engaged in our surge program, support Ukraine, reject global extremism, and all you got to do is give somebody who needs it a little help with their gasoline, because one of the primary reasons our gasoline prices have surged is because of the situation in Ukraine. So we can support Ukraine by supporting each other, giving away gas cards. As you know, we at KWBE continue to give away gas cards. We are all in it. We're all down with the cause, and we want to help each other by, we want to help Ukraine by helping each other. So join the surge. That's what we want you to do, is join the surge. I also want to let you know that at the end of this month, on August 28th, 2 weeks from today, we are going to have our special program on gun violence, the eruption of gun violence in America. And we got some very special guests. As you know, I even recruited an additional individual. He's a retired Philadelphia police officer, currently a minister and an author. He wrote a wonderful book entitled A Race to Remember. I have the book. We're going to be giving away copies of that in 2 weeks. So join us 2 weeks from today here on KWBE, 2 p.m. And this program is going to go a little bit longer because we have an entire panel, but we want to get into this gun violence thing and discuss what the solutions could be from these various perspectives, these various people in various capacities in this society that we are going to engage in conversation. So we hope you will join us on Sunday the 28th. That's our next program, 2 p.m., for a very special program on the eruption of gun violence in America. Tell all your friends, tell your family, your loved ones, your enemies, everybody, because we want to get this thing done. We want to discuss the real issues that are causing this problem and what we can do about them. So without further ado, I want to bring on our special guest. Her name is Hasna Aliyy. She's a very special young lady, as you will find out very shortly. And she's got a special story to tell. So let's bring on this wonderful young lady, Hasna Aliyy. Hasna, welcome to Kicking It with Brother Ed, KWBE. We're so glad to see you. You look beautiful. And we just want to get into who you are and what you do. How you doing today, first of all?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your background? Can we do that?
Yeah, so first off, my name is Hasna Aliyy. I'm a college student. This is actually my last year at Felician University in Rutherford, New Jersey. I'm studying business administration with a minor in arts and science. I'm also going to school right after that to get my master's degree and then after that, I'll be going to veterinarian school to become a vet tech. I'm also a part-time model. I don't want to say full-time. I'm a part-time model. I started in 2019.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a part-time model. I started in 2019. I'm actually working on creating my own modeling agency at the moment with some of my friends. We have a shoot coming up in October that I'm very, very excited for. I will be talking about that later on and putting the
I hope
Instagram
so.
there. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. And yeah, we would like you to give that because what we want to do here is support our guests, and we want to put that in the box there
hmm
so people can partake of that. I'm very excited about that myself. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. When I told you about myself, it wasn't there yet. So, we just started it maybe like a couple of days ago because a lot of my friends are models and a lot of my friends are photographers. So we were just like, you know what, let's just create a business and,
Here
support
we
us.
are.
And we
I
are.
love it. That's wonderful. And you know, one reason why I was drawn to you to invite you to come on our program is because we know that you can inspire young people as well as even older people. So
hmm
we want to really get into that. And this is a great example of this modeling thing that you guys are putting together. That's awesome. Uh, Tell us what when you were coming up, you grew up in Newark, correct?
Yes, I did. I grew up in North New Jersey. I went to Central High School for all 4 of my years. The best school. Go Blue Devils.
All right. I'm a Blue Devil. I graduated a few years before you, but I'm a Blue Devil.
So it still counts. It still counts.
Amen. So tell us about that. What were some of your memorable experiences at CHS?
See, I was thinking about that, and it's a little hard to even think because I had so much fun in school. Like, me and my roommate was actually talking about it because me and my roommate actually went to the same high school. We graduated together, and we was talking about the time from freshman year to senior year. Like, what was the best experience that we had? But we couldn't really think of any because we had so many ideas just popping out. Like, oh, remember this day, this happened, this day, this happened. Remember this time, this happened. So it was just like it's a little hard to say what was the best memorable like time because I've done
Right.
so much. I was so active in my school. I was the vice president of my senior class and then quickly became the president after one of my friends ended up dropping from the title. I became the president. I was involved in sports. I did volleyball and softball for at least 3 years and then I got injured. I hurt my foot so I didn't do it my towards the end of my junior year up until my senior year. I didn't do it. I was active, very, very active in my school. I was a part of a volunteer group called GLAM, Girls Leading Altruistic Missions. We
Give me
went,
that again, Glam. Give us that again.
yeah, so GLAM is an acronym for Girls Leading Altruistic Missions. So basically what we did was we went around and just lended a hand inside of our community. We held a purse drive in our school. So basically, what we did, we brought in purses that we weren't using and we filled them up with feminine products. So, feminine hygiene products, we did soap, um, feminine hygiene like pads and brushes and
Mm.
combs, hair ties, bras, underwears, like stuff that women in shelters were going to end up needing. Because,
Right.
most of the time that people in shelters, they don't provide that for the women. Like
Of
a lot
course.
of shelters do not provide that for women. So we did it ourselves and it was completely free. We did food, like everyone came out. It was such a big deal. I had so much fun doing that. Another thing that we did, we went to local hospitals in Jersey and handed out socks to cancer patients because people who had cancer most of the time they're very cold. So we handed out socks to them. We brought in big buckets, big boxes of socks, and give it to these hospitals so they can give it to these patients. Just a few of the things that we just did.
That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
Ras Baraka, the mayor of Newark, was the principal at one point. Was he the principal when you were there?
No, I think he left maybe 3 years before I got there, 2 or 3 years before I got there. He left, and our principal, Dr. Brown, she ended up becoming the principal. I believe she was actually friends with him, and she ended up becoming the principal. She was a great principal. I loved her. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, I graduated nearly 50 years ago, and I remember my principal's name. It was Dr. Charles Rechtenwald.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he was a good man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in any case, so you went to Central High School. You're still living in Newark, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah. I was
then, so
living
from
in-
high school, what made you decide to go to college, and when did you go? Did you go
Okay,
right
so
away?
I've always, ever since I was young, I've always wanted to go to college. But what I majored in was not always what I always wanted to major in. What I majored in was sort of a last minute resort when I was my junior year, because I believe my junior year you had to start preparing on what college you wanted to go to,
Right.
and you had to start applying, I believe, your the end of your junior year or the beginning of your senior year. And I was stuck because I wanted to actually, like I said, I I'm a part-time model, so I actually wanted to go to a fashion school. And the reason behind that is because ever since I was younger, I've always been into fashion. If you ask any of my family members, when I was little, my style was very unique. I learned how to sew at a young age. My mom used to sew a lot of my religious garments. So I used to learn how to sew at a young age. I used to take things around my room and make them into dresses for my baby dolls and stuff. And I was just very, very highly influenced by the women that I see in the magazines. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I want to be a model. I want to be a fashion designer. I had sketchbooks and sketchbooks of designs that I did, and I can't believe I don't have them because I lost them like right after, like maybe like years ago. I lost them. I don't know where they are because I ended up submitting them to a fashion school and they really loved my designs. I started to apply to schools in New York and one in California. I believe the school in California was LIDM and the school in New York was FIT and LIM. Those are the two main schools that I wanted to go to for fashion. And LIM ended up accepting me, but I ended up not going only because they weren't accepting financial aid for some reason. So I
Mm,
had to pay $18,000 out of pocket, which I didn't have. My family didn't have. Like I
right.
grew up in Newark, and I'm not gonna like speak for everyone in Newark, but most of us are very poor. Like we don't have
Absolutely.
$18,000 in our bank account.
Right.
Like
Right.
so, we rely on financial aid. We rely on government assistance. Like, and I'm not afraid to say that. Like I was very poor, and I'm still poor now. Like I'm still struggling. So I was just like $18,000. Like I'm not going to, I'm not gonna spend $18,000 or take out a loan and be in debt
Right.
for the rest of my life just because I'm going to become a fashion designer. I was
Right.
like, no, there's all other alternatives. And I was just like,
Good
what is
for you.
another thing that I really, really want to do? And I was just like, I want to own my own business. How can I do that? Let's start studying at a business school. I looked at Rutgers University. I believe I didn't finish the application for Rutgers, only because I really, really wanted to get out of Newark. I felt as though if I stayed, excuse me, I felt as though if I stayed in the college in my town, I wasn't really, you know, how do I say? I wasn't really able to fulfill what I really wanted to do if I stayed in my town. I really, really wanted to get out of Newark. I was just like, let's look at other school. I looked at Montclair, I looked at Bloomfield, and I looked at Felicia University. Those are the top three schools that I applied to. Felicia ended up giving me a higher scholarship. I believe Bloomfield gave me 8,000. That wasn't enough. Felicia University actually gave me $12,000 a year, which is $48,000 just to go there,
Wow.
just because I
Nice.
was so active in my school and because of the grades that I had in my school. So I was just okay.
So
This
it's
is
based on your involvement in the community?
it was based off my involvement.
Okay, go
Yep.
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I ended up going there. I love it. It's an interesting school. It's an
Why
interesting
do you say
school
that?
when
That sounds kind of loaded.
because my school kind of reminds me of high school. Like it doesn't act like a university. Like
Okay.
I think it's probably because how most of the professors act with us. Like they're so comfortable with us, and then the students itself are very unique. They're very, very unique. But I love the school. I'm always willing to rep my school So so yeah, that's really, I don't know, that's really it. That's what really made me want to go to college. Oh, and also because my mom, like my mom has so many kids, and not all of us, none of us actually went to college. None of them really went to college except for my older brother, and I'll probably be talking about him later on during the show.
Okay.
My older brother
Okay.
ended up going to Essex County because he wants to become a math teacher, and me. We were the only ones that went to college, and we'll be first gen basically to be graduating from college and going there.
Wow.
So I kind of wanted to make a name for myself, and I like when people praise me. So it's just like I feel as though if I went to college, I'll be getting, getting the praise that I need or praise that I want, and feel good about myself because like who doesn't want to get praised? Who doesn't want to say, "Oh my God,
Right.
congratulations! You went to college, you graduated." Especially since nobody in your family actually went to college. Like it
Right.
feels good.
Right.
It feels good, and I'm not afraid to actually say that because not that many people went to college except for my aunt, me, my brother, and that's really it. And my cousins on my dad's side, but that was really, that was really it.
Right.
So
Now,
yeah.
I want to get back to something. I'm not going to let you off the hook on this. You
Hmm.
said interesting, unique students at Felicia University. So
Yeah.
just give us an example of what you meant by that.
So my classmates are very interesting. They're very, very interesting. I don't even know how to explain what I mean. Just like some of them, it like I said, it reminds me of high school. Some of them are a little childish. Like sometimes I actually think like this is actually college. Some people aren't like um some people aren't like that. There some of them are actually very, very smart and very sweet. And the other half is just like, what are you actually here for?
Right.
Do you are you actually here just because for the college fun, or are you here because, you like going to school? And half the time it's because they're here for the college fun. But I mean, who isn't? But it's just like they actually show it. So yeah, that's what I mean. And some of them are very, very I don't even know how to explain. I don't even know how to say this without sounding rude. But like I said, I love my friends. I love all of
Of
them. I love
course.
my school. They're very nice. They're very, very nice people. If I ever needed something, they're
They're
there
there
to
for
help.
you.
Yeah. So can't really
That's
say
important.
anything too bad about them. Just they're unique. They're very, very
Right.
unique.
And uniqueness is good. The
Yeah,
uniqueness has
unique
its
is not a
place.
bad thing. Unique is not a
So what
bad
are
thing.
you,
So
right? What are your plans for the future now that you're doing this? You're going to graduate when next year?
yes, so hopefully I graduate next year. I was supposed to graduate in January only because when I was in high school I ended up taking the college course. I took two college courses, no, two programs for college, one in Essex County and then one in Rutgers. Rutgers, I studied supply chain management, and then in Essex County, I was just taking a bunch of college classes. So when I did get to college, I was a little bit ahead of most of my peers. I didn't have to take remedial courses. Like when you get to college, you have to take O-level courses. I didn't have to do any of that because I already took them in high school, which
Oh,
was
okay.
another big thing that I'm actually like proud of because I would be a little, you know, I'll still be back. I'll still be with my peers instead of like ahead of them.
Right.
So I was supposed to be graduating in January, but unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to go to school this semester, this upcoming fall, only because what happened last semester affected my grades a lot to the point where I end up failing three classes. So now I have to take those classes again this semester. But I have to pay out of pocket because when you fail classes and you retake them, you have to pay for them. Financially, it's not gonna pay for them. So now I
Right.
have to pay $2,000 by the 14th, which I believe is today. Which I believe is today. Or
It is.
yeah, so and I don't have that. So I was just like, I can't. And I'm not the only one that's going through that right now. Spoke to a lot of my friends and they're going through the same thing where they can't go to school this semester because they have to pay out of pocket for things that financial aid didn't give them, from money that financial aid didn't give them. So, but yeah, so I'll
Now,
probably be back by the spring and
wow,
graduate.
that's
Yep.
well. I always say God knows best, but I want to know well, what happened last year that made that occur, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff happened last year. My mental health was on its last string, I want to say. Um Me and my roommate, so a lot of, well, I don't even know where to start. It was a lot of things that happened. So much stuff happened. And I think one of the main things that did happen was um our house ended up getting raided by police. They
Your
felt this.
house, your
Yeah.
personal house,
So I
or
live in
with
a
your roommates?
like our apartment got raided. I remember we were getting ready. So I was going to an EDM concert. EDM is electric dance music place. So I was getting ready to go there, and me and my roommate was hearing all this commotion outside. We were seeing police outside and stuff like that. And we're seeing that a lot of the guys on our block end up getting arrested. So us being the people that we are, we're very nosy. So we're looking out the window, trying to see what's going on. We're just seeing everyone just getting arrested. It was like a bunch of police outside. And I remember one of the police, he was standing in front of my house. He's looking up at the window at me. And I'm just like looking at him like, why is he looking at me? And then he screams, like he looks at me, he goes, "Can I come up and talk to you? Can I come up and ask you a few questions?" Me and my roommate is looking at each other like, "No, you cannot come up here. Like, what would you come up here for?" And then
Right.
he was like, "I just want to talk to you guys, blah, 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 blah." And it was just like, "For what?" And we closed the window. It was just like, "We don't got time for this. Like, we got to be out in like an hour." So an hour passes by, everyone is gone. Me and my roommate end up getting into the car. We end up going to the hotel where we was gonna be staying at because the festival that we was going to was an hour away from us. So we end up going to the hotel, having fun. We come back the next day, and I had to take my roommate to the hospital that day because her ankle was messed up. So after the hospital, we get home, and my neighbor is sitting outside. She's looking at us. She goes, "Are you guys all right? Are you all right?" It was just like, yeah, like what, like she only fell. Like we were thinking, like she's saying, "Are you all right?" Because my roommate's ankle was messed up and she was on
Right.
crutches.
Right.
So I'm thinking, like, yeah, like she only fell, blah 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 blah. And she's like panicking, and I'm like looking at her, and my roommate is talking to her. So I go upstairs, so we just go unlock the door. And before I even go to get to the door, I'm standing on the steps and I see that my front door, is like broken. So I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my god, somebody broke into the house. Somebody broke into the house before when we was gone. Somebody broke in. Somebody broke in. My neighbor was just like, what? Like what? What do you mean? I was just like, somebody broke in. Like the door is like broken. Like there's a hole in the door. The thing on the side is broken. Like it looks crazy. So my roommate and my neighbor rushed upstairs. We opened the door, and my house was a complete disaster. I'm still
Mm.
thinking somebody broke in and robbed us. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, somebody broke in and robbed us. I'm like, so we started looking for our cats. My roommate went to go look for our cats. He was just like, what if something happened to the cats? Blah 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 blah. So we're looking for them. I'm looking around like what, like trying to see what was stolen. And then my neighbor was just like, "You guys weren't here last night?" We was just like, "No." She was just like, "The cops were here last night." We was just like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, like everyone was here last night. There was SWAT cars outside. They came in with guns looking for you guys. Blah 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 blah. Just a bunch of like, it was
Mm.
crazy." We sat there and literally cried so hard because the way they was just describing it, my neighbor was saying like they had machine guns. There was dogs outside, everything. Like it was like a full on SWAT team outside, and they knocked down your door. Like we thought that you guys were upstairs because it was at 10 o'clock at night. At 10 o'clock at night, me and my roommate aren't sleeping. We're in the house, chilling, watching movies. Like imagine that. Imagine if we was actually there. Having a
Sure.
gun in your face is already damaging to the human mind. Thinking about it and the fact that you could have been there was even more damaging. And so we're sitting there, we're crying, we're panicking. We see the warrant for our house on the couch. I'm reading it, and they're looking for drugs. So it's just like So we're just like, drugs? I'm like, what made them think that we're involved with drugs? Like, we don't do drugs. So we're
Right.
panicking, still panicking. I'm calling my aunt because, my aunt is a police officer. I'm calling my aunt,
Right.
seeing if she can break down the warrant for me. She was just like, yeah, somebody gave them a tip. She said somebody gave them a tip and told them that you guys were involved. I'm like, that's impossible. Like, that we can't be involved. Like, there's no way that we were involved. When I say our house was destroyed, our living room was upside down. We went into our bedroom. Our beds was broken. The mattress was flung off. The door was broken. We couldn't close it. My pantry door is still off the hinges.
You
Um,
still live here then?
we still live here. Like, it was a lot. It was so damaging, and it actually, so me and my roommate we actually have mental disorders. So that kind of ticked us off. Like, it ticked us off. We was so depressed. We was had high anxiety for weeks. And when I say weeks, like, it happened, like, we was high anxiety for weeks. So it ended up affecting my schoolwork because
Gotcha.
I started going to school late. So started to head into my classes super late. Barely I barely wanted to be home, so I stayed at work most of the time, did overtime because I was too afraid to go home. Since I did overtime, I couldn't do my homework. So I ended up failing terribly in school. My GPA went down to from a 3.0 to, I believe, a 2.5. That's how bad it dropped.
Wow.
So, and when and affected me to the point where my advisor had to take me out the master's program. So the master's program is a 5-year program that you get into when you get to college. Well,
Right.
my university at least. Instead of going to get your master's for 6 years, you're in there for a year less. So 5 years. So that's the program I was supposed to be in. And he was saying how my scholarship might be taken away and all this other stuff. I'm not. And then I was just like, no, like that can't happen. So I'm explaining to him what happened, stuff like that. He goes, "House, I had no idea," because he knew I was going to classes late. He was just like, because he was one of my professors as well. He was like, "Yeah, you always came to my classmate," and I had no idea this was the reason why. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm like, this is terrible. He was just like, it's honestly nothing I can do. You have to take these classes over, and if you
Wow.
do your fall semester, we could put you back into the master's program your spring semester. I'm like, I'm just sitting there defeated. I'm just like, I can't believe this happened. Like, this happened to us. Why us? It was just a lot. It was honestly a lot.
Sure. And we actually we're down to like 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes left, and this always happens. But
Sorry. Yeah,
I
sorry
know
about that.
something else happened to you. There's some other things that were even more severe. Now, was that before or after this incident?
That was before this incident. This happened. It happened in 2019. It was the death of my mom that affected me even more than
Sure.
the raid. Um, it affected me only because I was basically homeless. So when coronavirus happened, I left school. Well, not left school, but got off of campus, went back home. But I couldn't stay home. I had to stay with my sister for a minute just to figure out things and to see if my mom was ever coming home. It was the day before my birthday. She died literally the day before my
Wow. Wow.
at 5 a.m. So I'm sleeping and I hear my sister screaming and crying. She wakes me up. She goes, "Mommy is dead." And I never had death ever in my family. I never processed death.
Right.
Everybody else processed death in my family. I never had someone close to me die. Ever, 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 ever. So I'm just in shock almost. Like, I hear what they're saying, but I'm just in shock. I'm like how is this happening? So later on, right after her funeral, my siblings were gonna go with their dad, and I'm just like, I have a father, but I can't go stay with him. Like, I have school because he lived in Pennsylvania. I'm like, I can't go stay with him. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then my aunt was just like, you can come stay with me. So I ended up staying with her for the summer and stuff like that. And I still didn't process her death properly. I felt normal, but inside I wasn't actually normal until I got back to school. And when I got to school, I noticed that me being away from my family affected me. Like, it hit me harder. I'm just like, I don't have anyone. I don't have my mom. And then
Wow.
that's when my mental health started to actually deflate. End up committing suicide. Well, I ended up attempting suicide. And the
Really?
sad part is, yeah, I ended up attempting suicide, right in my dorm room. And the sad part about it is I wanted someone to find me. So I ended up calling the suicide hotline as I was doing it. I called the suicide hotline. I took about 10 pills. I was trying to overdose. Took about 10 pills and I called suicide hotline so they can get somebody to my room. Because my roommate wasn't there at the time. And I knew my RA was next door. So I wanted the suicide hotline to call my school to get the RA. So as I'm ready to go, I can see the lights of like the flashlights in my eyes, and I'm getting to the,
Wow.
yeah, and it's bad to say, but I felt very very calm throughout the whole entire thing. Um, it's like I was ready, like I didn't want to do it anymore. Like I was so ready to just go. I get to the hospital. I end up doing a week in the psychiatric ward. And there it made me realize like what I did was a huge mistake because I heard so many other people's stories, and I'm just like, I could have done something differently. I could have handled my emotions differently, but I was just hitting rock bottom to the point
Of
where
course.
I didn't know what else to do. I honestly did not know what else to do. I didn't know who to talk to because my family was still grieving. Like I can't just go to them and be like, "This is how I'm feeling,"
Right.
because they're
Right.
feeling the same way, and I didn't want to make them, you know, feel even more less. And my aunt was when I was living with my aunt, I realized that I was making her a little bit more sad because I was holding my emotions in, where it made her feel like I wasn't being grateful for living with her, which I was. I was very, very
Of
grateful. It's
course.
just my emotions made me, the way I was feeling made me want to stay away from everyone. So whenever I did something, I would just go straight to my room. I wouldn't talk to anyone. I tried not to be in their way because I felt like I was being a burden just being there. And I tried to explain that to her. She ended up understanding because we ended up getting into a huge argument. We both were crying, and I told her, I'm like, this is how I'm feeling. She goes, I had no idea, blah, blah, blah. But
Well, how are
yeah,
you today?
I'm good. I'm actually very, very good. Just tired. I work at a biology lab. I'm a lab assistant in a microbiology lab. So I work overnights from 12 a.m. to 8:30 in the morning. So my body is kind of sleep deprived. So I was sleeping from like yesterday all the way up until today. So yeah.
Wow, we're out of time already. I this is awesome. We want to check back in with you at a later time, but before we go, we're actually overtime. I'm looking at the counter there, but I do want to get that Instagram. What is it?
Yeah, so the Instagram is Mac Models. That's MAK Models. It's underscore MAK Models on Instagram. When you see it, it would just be a black icon with the words Mac Models in there, and then inside the bio it will say our names, Hasna, Zabadi, and Rain. Yeah, you can follow us on there.
So follow you guys at Mac Models,
MAK Models
MAK
underscore
Models, and
Models.
Instagram.
Mhm.
Is that it? Let's see.
Let me see. I can't really see.
How about that?
Yeah, so it's underscore MAK Models. Yep.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
tell everybody it's underscore MAK Models.
Mm-hmm.
Hasna, I am so sorry we ran out of time. We
That is
definitely want to have you back.
an important thing. So that,
We because there's more to talk about, right?
yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to talk about your ambitions, and we're glad you're doing better. And
Mm-hmm.
if anyone wants to donate to the shortage and her resuming her college studies this coming spring, starting in January, is that right?
Yeah, I'll start in January. Since I can't start in the fall, I'll be starting in January.
So anybody that wants to donate with that, just contact us here at Kicking It with Brother Ed at KWBE. We have a Facebook page. It's on all the flyers, including her flyer. We have YouTube, everything. Just let us know. and we'll make sure that she gets every penny. We don't want anything. We're not looking for anything. We're just looking to make sure that we can get it simply. So, and you'll be getting something from us. So we're happy to have you. God bless you. You hang in there. You're doing a great thing. And everything you went through, as we say, we believe, is for a reason. And
Of
it's for
course.
you, but it's also for others. So God bless you. We're going to talk to you again very soon. I believe maybe the beginning of the year, we'll check back in with you. We want to have you back on.
Thank you so much. It was great having me. Thank you.
Excellent. God bless you, Hasna.
Thank
Take
you.
care. So long.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, family. Thank you for joining us once again. Tell all your friends we're still being recorded. We have recordings available forever. So tell people to go on and hear this great interview. And we're going to do a part 2 in January. Until next time, August 28th, join us for the eruption of gun violence in America. God bless you all.